The current elections in the United States have been one that have spiked controversy regarding the current runners in the campaign and their agendas. These elections have the population completely involved, whether young or old. As of the time of this documentary is being filmed, the leader of the Republican Party is Donald Trump by 43.4% and Hillary Clinton as the Democratic candidate by 77.8%. Just like any other election, controversy arises from both candidates, and in this 2016 election, Hillary's trustworthiness and Donald Trump's controversial agenda arise as a huge problem for voters to take into consideration. A survey was given out to students from St. John de Brebeuf from grades 9 to 12 regarding the current elections. 50 surveys were given out to see the opinions the general body expressed. When asked who they wanted to win the presidential election, Bernie Sanders took the win with 44 votes, while surprisingly Donald Trump acquired 0. And currently, with Hillary and Donald as the two candidates, when asked who they thought would actually win between the two, it was close, but Donald Trump took the win over Hillary 29 to 21. Clearly, Canadians don't agree with Donald Trump winning, but clearly see the grasp he has on the election. When asked whether Hillary's leaked email scandal in 2015 using her personal email for official documentation, or Donald Trump's controversial agenda was more of a problem, a whopping 50 people voted Donald's agenda was the larger problem. When asked why, all the answers were the same, but an anonymous grade 11 student summarized it perfectly, stating, "While Hillary can be considered untrustworthy, Donald's agenda is extremely inappropriate and will lead the country to a downfall. While the untrustworthiness of Hillary may fail in a sense, but she still has a better understanding of how America can strive as a country, while Trump is still just a businessman."
I'm here with Eros, an engineering student at York University in Toronto, Canada. So, are you familiar with the United States presidential election?
Yes, you could say I'm familiar. I follow it to an extent.
Are you familiar with the candidates right now for the Republican Party, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton as well?
Yes, I'm obviously familiar with Donald Trump. I don't think anyone isn't at this point. Somewhat familiar with Hillary as well as Bernie Sanders on the Democratic race, which seems to be a little bit more tight than the Republican one at this point.
Yes. Do you think Donald Trump's cavalier attitude with the press is acceptable for a potential candidate running for presidency for the United States?
That's a bit of a questionable thing. His attitude maybe isn't the problem, but it's more the fact that he's always flip-flopping from issue to issue. He'll say pretty much whatever's on his mind, which most of the time is either racist or just plain out wrong. And then if in the occasions where he gets caught or he gets told like, oh, what you're saying is impossible, or it just basically gets shown up, or gets confronted about it, he'll automatically change his position to whatever suits him at that moment. So that's more of what's unacceptable. Him being, more confident and cocky when he's talking to people in the press, maybe not so much, but yeah, just the lying and the flip-flopping is the real problem, I think.
What about Hillary? Do you think she's a decent candidate for presidency? Or is there issues regarding her that should worry Americans as well?
I suppose when you consider past and present candidates, could say she's decent. She's obviously getting most of the vote from the Democratic side. However, it is very much she's very much like the status quo in that a way that she seems that she's bought in many ways. She seems there's a lot of money going towards her from various corporations, and she seems like she is sort of bending to their will to some extent already. And she's probably going to be fine president if she gets elected, but nothing special. She's not going to make any good changes for the United States.
So she won't bring any real good changes for the people, at least for the middle class, for the working class of the U.S.
Absolutely. I really doubt that she will make anything significant.
Every woman has a right and a choice. Men and women are equal. If men have a choice, women have a choice. My fellow candidate over here, Trump, thinks that if a woman has an abortion, then she shall be punished. Why? This is the most idiotic thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. If a woman has a choice to have an abortion, why should she be punished? But if a man had a choice to do something, he wouldn't be punished for anything. He wouldn't be looked down upon, he wouldn't be judged. But why all of a sudden when women have a choice and they make the wrong choice, that they're always put down or looked down upon? This makes no sense to me.
Hillary, listen, Hillary Clinton, you need to understand that my views are pro-life. And pro-life means no abortion. And no abortion means that if a woman carries out an abortion, there has to be some sort of punishment. That's my views, and that's what I think. And if I become president, that's what I'm going to do.
But how is that pro-life? What if a woman gets raped or something? What if she doesn't want to keep the child because it reminds her
Like I
of...
said, it's a complicated situation, but if I'm pro-life, this is a topic that needs to be dealt with.
But it's not pro-life. You're just making women not be able to have a choice for themselves and to go through it something they don't want to go through.
If the baby survives, it's pro-life. If a baby is killed, it's like murder.
Okay, but what if they're not the
Of
women
course,
are...
of course, it's a complicated situation. I understand. However, if an abortion occurs, there still needs to be some sort of punishment.
Okay, but then what if the woman's not financially stable enough, or what if she's a single mother?
Like I said, complicated situation.
But it
life
doesn't
comes-
matter.
Rodriguez. I'm with a close friend, Christian Grillo, and I'm going to be interviewing him today on the American elections since in September he's going to be going to the UK to study law. So how are you, Christian?
I'm alright.
So have you been keeping up with the American elections?
Yeah, I have been.
Okay, so basically, who do you think will win between Hillary or Trump since they're the leader of their parties?
Well, I personally believe in the American people to not be so ignorant and vote for Donald Trump. I think everything that he said mainly puts people off of who he is, and there's a lot of immigrants in the country who I believe won't vote for him. But then again, it's the same for Hillary Clinton. Her point of view and what she wants to do is almost ridiculous because of pretty much like her scandals that she's had in the past. People don't believe in her, but no one. Both candidates are really almost on a horrible end. But at the end of the day, I think Clinton might win because she has Obama's, Obama's pretty much stamp. She has Bill Clinton's stamp, and I think people just want to pretty much stay with what they've already had the last 8 years. I don't think that the South outpowers the North.
Of course. And what do you think of Trump's agenda strictly on immigration in the U.S.?
I think it's actually horrible because the United States is built on immigrants. It's everyone in the United States, if you know any of the history, they are all immigrants. They act like that they've been there from the beginning, which is not true. They came from England. And with the immigrants coming from other countries, it brings diversity to your country. It brings all these new cultures that can make your country pretty much better. Everything that we have today, it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for someone, say, who was in another country like China or India, who've created many things that help us, like the mathematical systems in India, how that's really changed the world.
Of course. No, I totally agree with you on that. And for a final question, like you mentioned in my first question, what do you think is a bigger problem? Trump's agenda with immigration and his other controversial agendas, or Hillary and her untrustworthiness and her scandal? Which one's a more of a problem that the voters should be worried about?
Well, I think both are actually huge problems that the American people have to actually overcome. Personally, if it were up to me and I had like a final say in America, I wouldn't have chosen either of the candidates. I think Bernie Sanders, although he's a maniac who yells a lot and doesn't always have a straight point, I think he could change the country for better. But with the Trump agenda, it's almost like you're tearing the country apart because you're pretty much the half of the South are immigrants, and a lot of the North are also, as you say, immigrants, and that really boosts your economy to have immigrants coming in, to have new jobs, to have people coming in, and helping the economy. But with Hillary Clinton's agenda, it's not so straightforward. You can't always trust what she says. You can't always believe it. And that goes both ways with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Both of them are like practically ridiculous. And this whole this whole election is on an absurd side that you don't really feel comfortable, right? Knowing who's going to win. And I believe in the American people. I think that they're not all ignorant. I think that that's just what the news and the media show us, because I know people from America. I have actually quite a friend group from America, and they're not horrible people. They have an understanding, but as like education in America changes people's point of views, this affects the whole this affects the whole presidency, right?
Yeah.
And both of them are just really not the best candidates. And like I said, Trump's agenda is ridiculous. You can't just stop immigration. You can't just not, do deals with countries like how he wants to stop his deals with China. You can't just build a wall. That doesn't work. He thinks it's just a huge deal, maybe. And Hillary Clinton is very untrustworthy. Although she has the approval of Bill Clinton and the approval of Barack Obama, even then, I personally don't trust her from her past scandals that she's done. And that's just mainly how I feel. I feel both agendas are, like I've been saying through this entire interview, ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, well, it's great to hear a voice from us youth on the elections. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm Jason Broom, the greatest American besides George Washington.
Okay, so regarding the 2016 presidential election in the United States, which candidate, in your opinion, is best suited to win?
None of them.
Because?
Because Hillary Clinton is a criminal and she's corrupt. She's also backtracked on just about every major stance or opinion she's had, and there's video, well-documented video to show this because she's been in the public limelight for a long time, given that Bill Clinton had a political career in Arkansas before assuming the presidency. So she's been in front of cameras for a long time, and they've documented her public opinion on things like gay marriage. For instance, she was against gay marriage in 2002, and again in 2004, and again in 2010. And then in 2013, when she's lining up the presidential bid, she's all of a sudden for gay marriage because that's the popular thing now. Donald Trump, I don't know if he's really in it because he's interested in truly making America great again, like he says, or if he's doing it for his own personal gain. Although there's not really much to be gained from the presidency versus, from a monetary standpoint. I think he's better off than most presidents, current or past, are. And the presidency isn't as powerful a position as everyone thinks it is. And then Bernie Sanders is a socialist, so he's very much opposite of our capitalistic society and the capitalism that America. None of the three of them really are suited well, in my opinion.
Do you think a president should have prior political experience to run the United States?
No.
Because?
Because I think to be an effective president, you really just need to be a people person. The job of the president should be to unite the two parties, and if they can bring the people on both sides of the fence of our political system, the Democrats and the Republicans together, then they can actually get things done, because that's how you're going to pass laws, is by getting the two parties to agree. So I don't think they necessarily need prior political experience. I think that it would be good to have a president that was a former CEO, that knows how to run a business, that understands basic economics or even advanced economic topics, and understands how to balance a budget, because the economy is a huge concern right now. The problem with a president not having political experience would be that the career politicians in Washington could essentially work against that person or reject that person because he was an outsider to their system. So that's a risk, but as long as the president was capable of negotiation or had those interpersonal skills, I think they could get over that.
In your opinion, do you feel that Barack Obama did his job well as the President of the United States, and will you miss him when his term is over?
I will not miss him when his term is over, but the question of whether he did his job well or not is a hard one to answer in a very short blurb like this. There's some things that I think that he addressed and did well, like he put cybersecurity at the forefront of things for the first time as somebody in a presidential role. However, there's also a lot of things that I don't think he did well. I think he's pushed two political parties further apart than they were before he came into office. I think he's actually made racial tensions in the country worse than they were before he came into office through a lot of things said and did during some very controversial events like Ferguson, Missouri, and Trayvon Martin shooting, Freddie Gray matter in Baltimore, etc. But he also did some other positive things, such as taking down Osama bin Laden. So, I think that he was an okay president. I wouldn't say he was top 5 or top 10, but I would say he's the worst president we've ever had.
To conclude, it is evident that each of our views are similar on the topic of the US 2016 elections because we believe the current runners have the wrong agenda for America's future. In both parties, their agendas have far surpassed the regular controversies that arise in every election. This year has proven to be the most wild elections to take place in history. We need Americans to wake up and to take initiative for the change, because with Trump's extreme solutions, or with Clinton's who pays more solution, America can find itself in deep waters in terms of the economy and social position in relation to the rest of the world.
Listen, baby.